What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and some spicy news out of Hollywood. They are now allowing us to see what we already knew, and that they're afraid. They're afraid that all their fear-mongering and shut it down talk has now cost them their future, has cost them their jobs. And you know what? It couldn't have happened to a better group of people. I'm being honest. I mean, if there are a group of people that I wouldn't care one little bit if they never worked again, it'd probably be Hollywood actors. Now, I do care about the people that work on the sets, the grips, all the people who make the sets and the makeup artists and all this. These people are real, and it would suck if they lost their jobs. But I'm not going to shed a tear for Sandra Bullock not being able to work anymore. Although that's not really fair. She's never really interjected herself. How about The Rock or Mark Ruffalo or Madonna or Deborah Messing or any of these people? There's a new article in the New York LA Times saying that theaters unlikely to survive the coup. Hollywood fears movie theaters may not survive the lockdown. This isn't something I've been saying for a long time. I don't think they will. Not in the same capacity. I mean, there will always be movie theaters because, there's always old good movies back when they were original worth seeing in the cinema. After more than 6 months of struggle, Hollywood issued a dire message about the state of the movie theater industry. The nation's cinemas may not survive without help. I mean, I don't disagree with this, but I'm not for helping them. I'm sick of my tax dollars going to help everybody else. It's especially Hollywood theaters or super huge mega corporations, General Motors, the airline industry. These businesses need to be allowed to fail so that they can be reborn, not artificially propped up by tax dollars. Groups representing movie studios, theaters, owners, and directors said on Wednesday called on Washington lawmakers to provide specific relief for film exhibitors, saying that 70% of small to mid-sized theater companies could be forced to declare bankruptcy or go out of business without government assistance. Well, interestingly enough, the world's largest movie cinema is basically owned by China, right? China AMC, I believe it is. I believe it's AMC. Yeah, the Wanda Group. Wanda owned approximately 50%, 49.85% of AMC. Why don't you ask China for some money? Go ahead. Why don't you ask? You took all their money leading up to now. Why don't they bail you out again? Dozens of filmmakers, including Judd Apatow, who's a piece of garbage, James Cameron, Greta, don't care about any of these people, signed a letter calling on federal government to provide support for industry which remains shuttered. No, absolutely not. This is the same industry that constantly, especially, they're always railing about how terrible the government is. You don't see them on Twitter talking about how they're going through back channels to beg for money. Absent a solution designed for their circumstances, theaters may not survive the impact of lockdowns, the industry group said in the letter. Cinemas are an essential industry that represent the best American talent and creativity have to offer, but now we feel for their future. No, they're not. Absolutely not. Now, unfortunately, who gets hurt by this? Part-time workers at the theaters who have been out of work for months and have long since probably moved on. It affects the hourly people. Hollywood people will be rich forever. It doesn't matter. But no, I'm sorry if it's callous, but I don't support a bailout for movie theaters. Movie theaters are non-essential. They are something that is probably bloated and could use a retraction. And by the way, maybe talk to your local governors and see about reopening. Maybe you should adapt and overcome. Some of my local movie theaters started doing outside shows, drive-in style shows, all sorts of stuff like this. But, that's just my opinion. Movie theaters slowly began to reopen across the country in anticipation of Nolan's Tenet in the U.S. before Labor Day weekend, but after Tenet reported modest domestic box office results, studios including Walt Disney and Universal Pictures have continued to delay big movies, fearing not enough cinemas are open to support expensive blockbusters and too few moviegoers are ready to return. Last week, Disney moved multiple titles, including Black Widow and Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Warner Brothers shifted Wonder Woman 1984 to Christmas. I don't think Wonder Woman's going to come out at Christmas either. I think they're going to push again. According to the industry groups, 93% of exhibitors saw their revenue plummet 75% or more in the second quarter compared to the same period last year. Well, they're not even open. I mean, that's not, I mean, yeah, it's a big scary number, but I mean, are you surprised? By the way, how many of these industries also took millions of dollars in PPP loans? And how many of their executive salaries were guaranteed by my tax dollars? You know, I mean, I'm sorry, but look, this sucks. But, you know, my wife was laid off for 5 months, almost 4 months. I didn't go begging the government for money. It sucks. And this is everybody's problem. And I'm not for bailing out Hollywood. Absolutely not. We can live without we can have a few less movies in the next 5 years. Maybe this pushes more innovation too, by the way. The industry leaders, in the U.S., the theater industry employs 150,000 people, many of whom are part-time and hourly. If the status quo continues, 2/3 of those jobs could vanish. They're already gone. Do you honestly think theater workers who are getting 20 hours a week at the movie theater, Friday through Monday, do you think they've been sitting at home the past 6 months waiting for the theater to reopen? No, they've gone on and they've tried to get other jobs. They've started driving Uber. They started doing Amazon shipping, or maybe they found something even better and they found new opportunities. I mean, look, I don't think there are many theater workers that would tell you that this is their dream job. It just seems really unlikely. The groups warn our country cannot afford to lose the social, economic, and cultural value theaters provide. So you're standing on the 150,000 part-time employees, which you could easily help bail out with your billions of dollars. But this isn't about them. The money that they're going to get from the government, if they were to get some, will never touch these part-time employees. They're not going to give them back pay for the last 4 months that they've been employed. They're not going to give them raises. They're not going to give them health insurance. No, make no mistake about it. This is about the corporations saving their money. This isn't about saving the little guy. And that's what makes this plea even more disgusting. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.